this is my record. Don't ruin this for me with your nice skin and your hope. This'll all be you, fucking... in the blink of an eye, you little bastards. So depressing. Do you know what happened to me? I did Live at the Apollo, the show Live at the Apollo recently, right? Which is something that you should look forward to when you do what I do. And I was all excited backstage. The producer came up to me about 2 minutes before I went on stage and he went, Greg, have you got any other shirts? I was wearing pretty much this, right? Has you got any other shirts? And I went, I've got the long sleeve shirt that I came in. He goes, yeah, go and pop that on. And I said, why is this shirt not all right? He goes, it's a bit tight, isn't it? I said, it's all right though, isn't it? I mean, it works all right. And then he said this to me, I barely know this man. Get your head round this sentence. He went, not really, Greg. You sort of look like a bin bag full of coleslaw. What's that? From a man I barely know. And yet, as you've seen, he's fucking right. It's awful. It's all, and you haven't seen this. Oh, it's awful. They've checked me into a hotel down the road, right? Now, in my flat, I've smashed all the mirrors in the flat, so I don't have to look at it. But in my hotel, there is a full-length mirror outside the shower, right? So tonight, I had a shower for you earlier. You're welcome. You're welcome. I came out and I saw my full nakedness for the first time in months, about an hour and a half ago, and this is what I did. Oh, fucking hell. I thought, do you know what your body looks like these days? Your body looks, Greg, like it's been carved by a 4-year-old child out of a block of budget ham. Just a rough approximation of a male body, all pink and jellified. It's fucking revolting. And I wasn't going to tell you this, but I like you instinctively, so I will tell you this. And if any of you are sitting there with body images and you're worried about how you look, this will make you feel better about yourself in a heartbeat, right? Because this is true. I was in my flat about 3 weeks ago, right? I went to the toilet for a shit, sorry, but that's what was happening, right? I went to the toilet, and if you're feeling bad, prepare to feel better about the way you look, because this happened. I pulled my trousers and pants down, and I started having a poo, and the fucking toilet came off the wall. I was mid-shit. I had to do this walk of shame with my pants by my ankles and find the guest toilet and finish off there. Not even Elvis broke his toilet, and he died on the toilet. It's so bleak. It's all so bleak. And yet, you know, I come out and I say all the self-deprecating stuff. I'm an amazing lover. It's the end of that section. Good. I am. Let me qualify what I mean. I'm not an amazing lover. Of course I'm not. Look at me. But I have been shagging for a lot longer than a lot of the people in this audience, right? Now, were all of those shags amazing? Of course they weren't. They were generally dreadful, right? But over the years, every now and again, when I was with whatever poor unfortunate girl I was with, right, I might have done one of my moves on her, and there was like a flicker of what could be construed as happiness across her face for a second. It might have been wind, but it's sort of like a half smile came across her face. And I was doing a move and I thought, I don't know what move I was doing, by the way. Off the top of my head, probably one of... And I saw her sort of, I thought, oh, she liked that. Every time that happened, over 25 years, I've logged it. So I've got like a bank of moves that have worked. That's all I'm saying, over a long period. I'm not an amazing lover. What I'm saying is, if I used all of those moves on one of you, I don't know why I'm homing in on you particularly, sir, but if I were to hump this man, right, and to use all of my moves at once, he'd go fucking crazy, right? Any of you would. You'd all go crazy if I used them all at once. I know that for a fact. Here's the awful cold irony. Ready? I'm 44 now. Now I've got all the knowledge. I can't be bothered. I've got all this power and it's going to waste, right? The only way my sexual power will ever be used these days is if I can see like a nice young couple in the audience, is if one of you lovely young couples maybe invite me back to yours later, right? And I'll talk you both through it. Like an awful sexual puppeteer. Do this to him. And yet, you know what? What's amazing, it doesn't matter how much I go to seed, and the same will be true of some of the awful other middle-aged men I see. It doesn't matter how fucked we get, because the male brain has a fault. It has a fault in it that stops you from realising quite how disgusting you are. It's amazing. Like, women cover themselves up with makeup. We just pretend we're all right. And it happened in Manchester today. I was in Manchester and I walked past a girl today. She was probably 23 and she was blonde and beautiful, and I know what this looks like and I know how old I am, and yet I walked past her and my brain went, well, who knows, Greg? Maybe she likes ham. And it never stops. We never give in. I've got one granddad left, right? He's 96 years of age. He lives in a home, and he is, to use his words, physically fucked. His words, right? I went to see him recently, and he was sitting on a little chair with his little blanket, and I went, all right, Grandad, how are you? And he goes, I'm awful. How do you think I am? Kill me, someone kill me, right? I'm paraphrasing. And then a nurse came in, a young nurse, and she went, morning. And this is what my granddad did. Well, hello there. As if there was any part of that girl's brain that was thinking, do you know what I fancy this morning? I fancy getting banged by a man who gets out of breath eating soup. It's liberating. Me and 3 loser friends went to the Glastonbury Festival, right, to try and recapture our youth for the kids. Now, before, there was me, my mate Brian, a little bloke, and my mate Gav, taller bloke. Before we even met up, I've known them since I was at school, and they're in their 40s as well, losers. Before we met up, each of us made a decision without discussing it that is fucking heartbreaking, right? We all decided we would wear something that would make us look a bit more down with the kids. Now, I wore a coral necklace. I don't know what, I bought it on a holiday in Greece when I was 15, right? I haven't put it on since I was 15. I put it on, it looked like someone was trying to strangle a fucking pig with a shoelace. I couldn't speak properly. Yeah. Then my mate Brian turned up. He'd gone a level further than me. He'd bought a new leather jacket, especially for the festival, which is tragic, isn't it? But he hadn't tried it on in the shop. So, he walked in, he had no fucking hands. He was a handless dwarf. All right, I didn't have the heart to tell him. So I'm there, fucking hell, handless is there. Then my mate Gav arrives. He's decided to wear a snow wash denim jacket. I've not finished. He had combined that with some snow wash denim jeans. Yes, it's what's known in the trade, you'll know, as the Weatherspoons failure outfit. And I should throw in something, and this is just for fun, really. Gav's got an incredibly thin head. It's thin. Do you understand how thin it is? Imagine Postman Pat's head. Imagine that thinner. So he walked in that outfit, it looked like someone had dropped a fucking cheese string into a sleeping bag. You have never seen three bigger losers walk into the Glastonbury Festival. That's right, bitches, we're here. It was heartbreaking. We thought we were awesome. We went down and looked at the bands, didn't recognise any of them, but it was nice to see them out. And then when we were thinking we were pretty cool and we were getting away with this, a child approached us. A child appeared out of a bush. I say child. He was probably 27. He came up and he offered us what I think you young people might refer to as marijuana. I believe that's the street term. Now, I'm not very good with drugs. They make me go to sleep, right? But I thought, I am not going to lose face in front of this little fucker, right? So I said, yeah, okay, man. Yeah. I'll have a toke on your doobie. And I did say that. I took his joint off him, had a massive drag, fucked! Instantly fucked! I whited out, my tongue was sort of like... I passed it down to little Brian, he struggled to fucking get hold of it, to be honest. Managed to get his finger out of the sleeve in the end. It made him angry. Passed it up to Gav. He struggled to get a drag out of it. Tall, little thin head, bless him. He went bright red. He went from cheese string to strawberry shoelace in one drag. We were all ruined. And walking through Glastonbury going, oh my God. This is awesome. And Brian, well, he'd calmed down by now. I went, oh, this is fucking amazing. He said, I feel so alive. I haven't felt like this for years. I feel so alive. Then, and I'm not making this up, Brian physically disappeared. Honestly, I went, oh, the cheese string was going ape shit over here. What the fuck are you doing? Brian hadn't disappeared, ladies and gentlemen. Brian had fallen into a swamp. Not only had he fallen into a swamp, it was a swamp only big enough for one man. The statistical chances of him finding that swamp were 1,000,000 to 1. And he was up to his little fucking neck in it. In fact, I'll show you what was left of him. Now, a 16-year-old would shit themselves in this situation. Stoned and up to their neck in a swamp, they'd freak out. Not the middle-aged man. We've got nothing to live for, right? This is Brian's reaction in total to being in a one-man swamp stoned out of his mind. Ready? Here it comes. Oh, well apparently, lads, I'm in a swamp. Couldn't give a shit. We're just happy for the stimulation. You could kick me in the balls and I'd thank you for it. Right. Salford, let's stop messing around. Once a teacher, always a teacher. Here are my learning objectives for tonight's show. What? Screw learning objectives. You're an angry teacher, aren't you? All teachers are, or all people in Salford? All teachers are angry, I know. Well, you should have made better life decisions. Right. I am, of course, joking. I salute my former... I used to be a teacher myself. I know your pain. I salute you. You will understand, though, and I should say this at this point, that as an ex-teacher of some years' experience, I do struggle a little if you shout out while I'm talking. My learning objectives for tonight's show. Feel free to woo for your favourite things if you like. In a minute, not yet. I haven't done. In a minute, I'll be doing some top-notch audience interaction. Then I'll be doing a soundscape. Oh, what's that, Greg? We haven't heard of it. We're too old. Don't worry, I'll talk you through it. It's amazing. I'll be discrediting children live on stage. Thank you. Can we sort the little arseholes out at last? I'm sick of quotations from Shakespeare and the like. I should be doing some new classic quotations for you to use in life. Okay. I'll be having some fun with a racist later. Imagine that. Now that's a racist I've already met, of course, but we're in Salford. I'll smoke a few more out, I'm sure. Live role play. Starring two of you, imagine that. And then just when you think you're going to burst with fun, uh-oh. There's going to be a moving song with a pretty bloody powerful message. And then I think you'll all find a better world. Awful lot to get through. So let's crack on with the agenda. Hello. What's your name? Hi Lisa, how are you? Excellent. I'm all right, thanks, Lisa. Yeah. So we're off. The show, ladies and gentlemen, is called The Back of My Mum's Head. Why is that, Greg? I'll tell you, that, incidentally, is the actual back of my mum's head. She's fucking furious because it's been on posters all over the country, and it was literally the day before her hairdressing appointment. So she's furious. The show is based on a catchphrase, really. It's based on a phrase that my mum said to me all the way through childhood when I'd done something to piss her off, just before she left the room and I saw the back of her head sailing away, right? I'll show you the phrase before I go any further. I heard it for a good 20 years. This is it. It's not normal, love. Now, an English teacher who was in the audience a few nights ago did point out that technically that should have a comma in it so it doesn't sound like dirty sex. I never was a good teacher. It's not normal, love, she would say when I did something that made her question the way she brought me up. I'll give you an example. I once drew a cock and balls on the roof of my mum's car. Fair enough, man, right? Now, I would have got away with it if I hadn't overheard my mum say something and I had to intervene. And this will give you an early indication of what my mum's like. I overheard her go, Bob, to my dad. Bob, I think someone's got a vendetta against the family. And he went, well, what do you mean? She said, well, someone appears to have drawn a weird gang symbol on the roof of my car. I went, oh, I'm sorry, it's not a gang symbol, it's a cock and balls, I drew it. And she looked from a different angle, she went, it is a cock and balls. Why do you do these things? It's not normal, love. I once dressed our family dog Rex up in a pair of my dad's massive white underpants. Rex reacted in the only way that a dog can react to that situation, which led to the greatest sentence I've ever heard, particularly from my mother. It's awesome. Here it is in full. Oh my God! Why am I cleaning dog shit out of your dad's pants? It's not normal, love. I hadn't heard It's Not Normal, love for years. This year, and this is the reason for this whole show, I've heard it twice. The first time it didn't really register. It was earlier this year. My mum decided that she would address my weight. She addressed my weight as only a mother would dare address a child's weight. This was her opening sentence. Ready? Oh, Greg, you are disgustingly fat. I said, I've got a bit of a belly. She goes, you've got a bit of a belly. You look 7.5 months pregnant. It's not normal, love. Now, it didn't really register, but something obviously went wrong because I decided to do something about it. I decided I would go to Argos and I would buy some weights. So I did. They were £29.99. They were in a little black case. And I lifted them in their little black case, the barbells, from Argos' counter, and I took them the 2-minute walk to the boot of my car. This was in January of this year. Guess where they are now? Fuck that! They hurt! They hurt me! But two great things came out of that 2-minute journey. My body and my mouth, at a point during the journey, both made noises that I hadn't planned for them to make. So I lifted up the weights from the counter and my knees sounded like a bowl of Rice Krispies, right? It was... So I was already giggling halfway across the journey. Then, in the second minute of the journey, my mouth started making a noise I've never heard before or since, but I can show you what it was. This was it. What is that? And it got worse as I walked up. I was pissing myself laughing by the time I laughed for about half an hour. Then I realised that that was my 5th favourite involuntary noise of all time. Obviously, I've compiled all 5 of them for your entertainment tonight. This is your first bit of interaction. I want you to sing the old-fashioned chart music in between my favourite involuntary noises. And I'll warn you now, this is one of 2 sing-alongs in the show. If you don't join in, I've locked the doors, you're here all night. So just come in hard. We're going to do the old-fashioned chart music. The da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Right? We'll start with my 5th favourite involuntary noise, which you've heard as a test, and then I'll move through the others. You ready? Coming in at number 5. No, I'm fucking serious. I will keep you prisoner. 5 times louder. This is an important chart. My 5 favourite involuntary noises of all time. Coming in at number 5. Hey, 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 hey. Coming in at number 4. I once slapped my friend, Matthew Delaney, across the face with a family pack of pita breads. If you've never done it, I can't recommend it highly enough. It makes an incredibly satisfying thud. He was furious, he would have been. He was driving at the time. What I like about the involuntary noise is you'd expect him to be really angry with me, but what came out of his mouth was surprisingly camp. I'll try and do it justice for you tonight. Ooh, lovely, lovely. Simple. So simple. Coming in at number 3. I go to a little village in Spain quite a lot. It's in Andalusia. It's beautiful, and I go there because it's quiet and simple life. And I went there last summer, and the locals, ladies and gentlemen, they eat a very simple diet. They largely eat just meat and cheese. That's about it, really, as far as I can work out. So last summer, I decided that I would join the locals, and for the first 2 days of my holiday, I ate only meat and cheese. Well, let me tell you, the effect was fucking awesome. I don't want to overstate this, but it's important you know how serious the situation was. So try and get your heads around this sentence. On that particular day, on day 3 of my holiday, ladies and gentlemen, on that particular day, I was farting more often than I had not been farting. Do you understand how serious that is? The fart to silence ratio had been completely reversed. I was guff, a continual stream of hot guff coming out of my It was fucking awful. Well, I don't mind telling you, I can't remember being happier. Then my friends told me that we were going down to the village to a Catholic religious festival that night. So I thought, shit, I'm going to have to cork this bad boy. It's a pretty full-on festival. They have like a 25-foot papier-mâché Jesus gets led through the town. And I thought, I can't be guffing in front of massive Jesus. Of course I can't. So I'm going to have to hold it in. So we walked into town and I held it in. I knew within a minute I was in serious trouble. I knew that I was brewing a legendary fart. The fartologists in the audience should have heard of this. It's often spoken about. People think it's a myth, but it is true. It's the legendary single puff, single clap fart. Some of you have heard of it, clearly. It's so called, of course, those of you who are experts will know. So called because there's such an amazing build-up of gas that when you release it, the buttocks don't have a chance to react in the traditional way. There's no when it comes up. There's one puff of gas followed by one clap of the buttocks and we're out. So, obviously I was very excited. How many single puffs, single claps do you see in a lifetime? 1, possibly 2 maximum. So I was excited, but I knew I couldn't just let it go. I had to wait for massive Jesus to come past. Fuck me, he took his time, trundling by on his little cross. I was going, come on, Jesus, I'm going to pop here, mate. Then, of course, I had to wait for a clearing in the crowd. You can't just let a single puff, single clap out. You could break an arm with one of these. Then I saw a gap, and I thought, great, I'm going to let this bad boy go now. I started to release the gate, right? I was excited. Something incredible happened, and might I just tell you, this is absolutely true. The second I released the single puff, single clap fart, the biggest fart I've ever done in my entire life, the legend that is the single puff, single clap, a Spanish man who I hadn't seen made his way behind me, and just for a split second, he placed his hand against my ass. The resulting soundscape and involuntary noise was remarkable. I'll try and do it justice for you. It's very difficult. Coming in at number 2. My friend Darren is the biggest loser I've ever met in my life. He's a lovely man and I love him dearly, but he lives in Singapore, which I think is a terrible place. He has an awful job, which he hates, so his life's miserable there. But the main reason he's so miserable and his life is so awful is because he married the most horrible human being I've ever met in my life. Awful, awful woman. A lot of people won't say this. I will. I hope she dies. I don't wish death upon anyone. Of course I don't. But if she does die, fine. So I went to see him on my way to Australia last year, and he told me the saddest story you'll ever hear. He told me he didn't get many kicks these days, so he was up in his bedroom one day, and he spied that his neighbour, a relatively attractive middle-aged lady, was sunbathing topless in the garden. So he thought, I will watch her from my bedroom window, and I will enjoy myself in a special boy's way. Then he realised she might be able to see him enjoying himself, so he pulled down the roller blind on his bedroom window, and then he realised he couldn't get to himself to have a nice time, so he did one of the most heartbreaking things you'll ever hear. He went down into his own kitchen, he got a sharp knife while his wife was in the front room, and he chopped a hole in his own fucking roller blind, and he opened up a wank hole, right? Have you heard anything sadder in your life? I said to him, Dave, oh, not Dave, that's his real name. You will not remember Dave. You will only remember Darren. You will not use Twitter. So, Darren, he pulled his trousers and his pants down and he got ready to enjoy himself. You can guess the rest of the story. She came up, went, oh, Darren! Caught him. Now, what I love about the noise he made, and obviously I wasn't there, he's told me about this. What I love about the noise that came out of his mouth, you would think he would scream the neighbourhood down. What came out of his mouth was the noise of a small animal. Here it comes. Oh, Darren! Coming in at number 1. My mother came to stay with me a few years ago when I lived with a big Geordie lad called Chris. I shared a flat with him. And my mum decided that in the middle of the night she would go for an old lady wee. And then she went back to what she perceived was her bedroom. It wasn't her bedroom, it was Chris's bedroom. He didn't even know she was staying. So he woke up with an old lady in a nightie at the bottom of the bed. He went, oh, she went, oh, and ran back to her room, right? Now, Chris told me about this over breakfast. You have to know, my mum is wonderful, incidentally, but is the most easily embarrassed human being I've ever met. So when Chris told me about this, I knew she would be horrified. And I was laughing my head off before she even got downstairs. Then she came into the kitchen and she was beetroot red. Like, she went, oh, Chris, straight in. I'm so sorry. I am so embarrassed about last night. I'm so embarrassed about last night. He went, Mrs. Davies, it's fine. Anyone could have made that mistake. Don't be so silly. I went straight back to sleep. It's fine. She went, oh, God, thank you. I haven't slept a wink worrying about it. Thank you so much. He went, it's fine. Then she said this. Oh, dear. I bet you thought I was going to sit on your face, didn't you? Minutes later, I explained the modern-day meaning of the expression to sit on someone's face to my mother, and she made this noise. A lot of people would leave those involuntary noises where they are. It's a little section finished. I'm not a lot of people. I go the extra yard for you people. I've created a beautiful soundscape that I promised you earlier. This took me 2 days of my life to prepare it. Honestly, the audiences so far on my tour have not been as grateful as I would like them to be. But I'm in Salford now, a place of culture, and I'm sure I'll get a better response for the hard work that I put into it. So sit back, relax, and enjoy my lovely soundscape of my involuntary noises. Thank you so much. There was a fart. This is Mum. I've looped her. I've looped Mum. That's yours. That's yours, you can keep that. What was that? You enjoyed it, madam. You thought it was brilliant, but you'd have liked something a little more jazzy. I don't like that one. What was that, sir? You thought it was amazing, but you would have preferred something a little more Bhangra-based. You need to fucking step up. I've done 30 of these. I had a review of this section of my show from a reviewer I really admire, and, you know, he was nice about the whole show, but here, this is what he said. At this point in his show, Davies plays out a series of soundscapes he created at home, largely for his own amusement. Prick. And I'd love to tell you that was the first review I've had for that, those sounds. It isn't. It's the second review I've had. I've written down the first one because it was from my mum, and I wanted to get it right, so I've written it down here. I played her those sounds after 2 days of work, saying this is one of the things I'm going to do in my show, and this is what she said. What's wrong with you, Greg? You're a grown man. You've always wasted your time on rubbish like this. Why not buy a house or try and get a girl pregnant? It's not normal, love. And it really landed that it's not normal. I thought, oh my God, am I not normal? So then I started to obsess about what is normal. Are you normal? Are you normal? Are these people normal? And I was walking past people in the street going, are they normal? So I thought, hang on, let's get scientific about this. So I started watching behaviour of people. I started, logically, with very young people. I started watching very young people. And I started with my niece, right? My niece is, I went on holiday with my niece, not just her, by the way. She's only 2, little Daisy, and my sister was there and the family. And I thought I'm going to start watching her to see how normal she is. Who's got kids here? Give me a cheer. Are they normal? No! They're fucking mental! They're all mental, and they're getting away with it. I watched that girl for 2 weeks, and I love Daisy, she's awesome, but she talks when she wants, that's not normal, and she talks about what she wants, and she only wants to talk about one thing, and that is what she's wearing on her feet. That is all she's got. So, for 2 weeks, every day, this was it. I've got my flip-flops on. Okay. I haven't got my flip-flops on. I've lost my flip-flops. Uncle Greg, I think my flip-flops in the pool. Okay, well, we'll get it out. I'm going to wear my pretty princess shoes tonight. I haven't got my flip-flops anymore. Uncle Greg, do you think I'll be able to get some new flip-flops? How about you shut the fuck up? I love you, but enough with your fucking feet. Kids are getting away with murder. And it made me think about my own childhood. I remember being in a science lesson with a lad called David Hughes. I was doing my work. Hughes nudged me and he went, "Oi, Davies, give me a number between 1 and 20. And I went, 13? He went, yeah, cheers. I carried on working. I turned back 5 minutes later. Hughes was doing this. Oh, what the fuck's wrong with you, Hughes? He found a jar of yeast tablets in a drawer and he'd eaten 13. Who does that? He had to go to a hospital. And not an adult blinked an eye. Yeah, well, he's a child. He's eaten 13 yeast tablets. Of course he fucking has. It's insane. And let me ask you this. Who's got a younger brother or sister here? Give me a cheer. Right. And of those people who cheered, give me another cheer if when you were kids you made that person's life a misery. All of us. It's not normal. My sister's 4 years younger than me. The things I did to that girl would sit perfectly comfortably in Guantanamo Bay. They're awful. I invented a game when she was 6 years of age called Swing Ball Sting Ball, right? I would stand her on an X in the garden and I'd get a swing ball and I'd just smash it into her face. Those were the rules. And after being hit 6 times, she'd go, "Can I have a go now?" And I go, "I don't want to play anymore. See you later." And it sort of all came to a head on a family holiday that we went on. And this family holiday is a great example of what's normal in the adult world and what's normal in the kid world, because my dad hired this van to take us across America, like an A-Team style van to drive, and we were there for weeks. It was, really exciting. Now, at the time I was 16, so I didn't appreciate it at all. I was a total prick. And my sister was 12, like a little fat ball of puberty, with a little moustache, hating everyone. So I spent the whole 6 weeks I spent just torturing her, just being awful to her to see if I could get her to pop. So I invented new games. I invented games like let's shout my sister's weight out of the van window. And I bought a machine gun, right? Like a plastic toy machine gun that was actually a water pistol. It looked just like an AK-47, though. And I would top it up first thing in the morning, and I would just squirt her in the face. All day. Mum and Dad, it's fine, that's what kids do. Now, before I go any further, I want to remove my dad from any discussion on what's normal behaviour. Because if you've ever seen me before, you'll know that man is fucking bonkers, right? Deliberately bonkers. And if you don't know my dad, I'll just tell you very quickly, as an example, when I was 12, I plucked up courage to go and see my dad because I thought my testicles were moving on their own, right? I thought something was living in my nuts. Now, I know that's ridiculous, and you do, but I think most dads in this room would think, I try and make my poor son feel a bit better about that worry. My dad did 2 things. He laughed in my face straight away, and then for 5 years he called me alien bollocks. I'm going to tell you something else about him, actually, before I tell you about this holiday. The holiday before that, the year before, we went across France on a train, on one of those where you can put the car on the train. And we had a little, I can do it with this, we had a little carriage with sliding doors where me and my sister here, Mum and Dad, it was really exciting, And in the middle of the night, my dad, he woke me up and he went, "Hey, come out into the corridor of the train. I'm going to have a cigarette and we can have a bit of male bonding." And I went, "Oh, okay." And after about a quarter of an hour, he went, "Hey, pop into the carriage next door and see if it's empty." And I went, "What?" We were just in our underpants, right? He goes, "Just pop into the carriage next door, see if it's empty. We'll go and sit in there." And I went, "I'm not going into the carriage next door." He goes, "Go and have a look." I said, "There might be a French family in there." He goes, "Oh God, all right, I'll go." Now, I stayed here, so what I saw was him slide open the door like this, boo, and go, "Get out, you French fuck!" And then he started punching, fuck you and your wife." Oh, sorry, he'd been to check it was empty before he woke me up, right? It's the sort of arsehole we're dealing with. So let's forget about him. The rest of us were driving across America in the A-Team van. My mum tells us that they're going to break the back of a big journey one night. They're going to drive across New York State, taking it in turns, drinking coffee, while me and my sister sit in the back, right? So I went, fine. We fell asleep. They drove throughout the night. It was 3 in the morning. My mum woke just me up. She went, oh, Greg, we've got a bit of an issue. And she was white as a sheet. And I went, oh my God, what's wrong? She said, your dad's got us lost in a forest. I went, okay, well, I'm sure he'll find his way out of the forest. And she said, that's not the problem, love. I said, well, what's the problem? She said, we're pretty sure we're being followed. I went, what? She said, look. I looked behind. Behind us, there was a beaten up American yellow pickup truck with blacked out windows and one headlight working. Following us. We were in a forest. It was foggy, being followed by a beaten up pickup truck in America. When does this happen outside of Scooby-Doo? I shat myself, and I think it's pretty normal. I looked to the adults to tell me what the plan was. I said, what are we going to do? She said, don't you worry. Your dad and I have come up with a plan. Don't you worry. And I went, what's the plan? She said, well, your dad's going to find somewhere to pull off the road, yeah? And if they come with us, we'll know they're following us. I went, and then what? She said, then your dad is going to reason with them. Because that's what serial killers love, isn't it, ladies and gentlemen? A bit of fucking reason. So then we found the place that we were pulling off the road. You won't believe this, it's true, it was a disused service station. Because apparently Stephen King was writing this story now. There was a squeaky sign, no lights, and my dad went, we'll pull in here. Sure enough, they came with us. And we sat there frozen, and I thought, we're dead! We're dead! And my mum was crying her eyes out. My dad was gripping the wheel like he would rip it off. The solution to this problem came from somewhere none of us were expecting. Because our van door suddenly slid open and my 12-year-old sister hung out with a plastic machine gun in her hand, and I promise you, shouted, come on then, you cunts. I have never seen my mum react quicker. She was like a puma. She went, woof, grabbed her by the hair and pulled her in. My dad floored it. We screamed for 20 minutes. Ah! Ah! When we looked back, they hadn't followed us. They'd obviously thought, well, we were going to kill them, but they got a tooled up child in that van. Only a child would have got us out of that situation. Because only children speak their minds. Only people, in my opinion, under the age of 16 say what the fuck they want. We stop saying the first thing that comes into our heads. And I think we stop at about 17. And I've got a theory as to why. I think when you hit 17, you either make a tit of yourself or you see someone else make a tit of themselves. For me, it was the latter. I was at university, a lad called Nick, who I'd only met for the first week of university. We were all excited to be there, getting to know each other, testing the water. We had a game of truth or dare in the college bar, and Nick got a bit overexcited, right? And he went, oh, I've got a truth. I've got a truth. We went, okay, Nick, what's your truth? And he went, you know when you're about 12 and you've never felt a girl's tits before, And you really want to know what a girl's tits feel like? Well, I went into our front room at home and my nan was asleep. We all went, no! And he went, I didn't do it. We went, you fucking did! It ruined his life. Nicky Nan's tits, he was called. 3 years. Every time he came into a room, what are we doing tonight, lads? We're going round to your nan's house, you fucking pervert. And every person in that room went, oh my God, you can't say what you want anymore. You've got to think before you speak now. And I think what happens is everybody who sees something like that puts a filter in between brain and mouth. Like the adult filter, I call it. We go, Christ, I'm not going to just say anything. I'm going to think before I speak. Does that mean we become normal? No. I put it to you, there is not one normal human being in this room. And I mean it, and I'm going to prove something to you now. Who's with your partner? Give me a little wave. Right. I want you to look at your partner now for the whole duration of this next sentence. Look at them. In the face, in the eyes. Look at them. And now listen to this. While I say this, keep looking. The person you are now looking at, I promise you, no matter how long you've been with them, on a daily basis will think something that if you heard it, you would fucking leave them. And they'll deny it. They'll go, I don't know what she's talking about, darling. I don't know what he's talking about. It's absolutely true. We're all absolutely fucking insane. And we're clinging on to sanity by our fingertips, right? And I think it's a shame because a lot of fun goes with that. So I want to stop it. I want to free everyone up. And I'll start the ball rolling tonight, right? I'll tell you this. I went to my friend's wedding recently. I love my friend, he's a dear friend of mine, but I spent the whole ceremony fantasizing about head-butting his wedding cake. I don't know why, but I swear to God I almost did it. I was this close to going, excuse me everyone, can I have your attention? I know it's a lovely wedding, but... And you'll all be sitting there now going, well, that's just you. You're just abnormal. You're just a weirdo. All right. Let me ask you this, and I want you to answer by way of a cheer. How many of you have ever been in charge of a car, driving, with people you love in that car, at some point in your life, and have thought to yourself, all it takes is this. And we're all dead. That's not normal, folks. How many of you have been in a good mood, standing on a tall building and have thought, do you know what, I might just jump for the sake of it? We're all bonkers. And I think it's a shame that we don't just free it up a bit. So I'm trying to start a movement where we all start speaking our minds a bit more. And I'm going to help you because I promise you new quotations. I've written some things down on these boards here that are genuine things that have been said to me by people I know over the years. They're not jokes. They weren't trying to be funny. They're just absolutely deadly serious things they said. And I want you to feel free about yourselves once you've heard these. My friend Peter is a banker. He invited me round to his house in fairly recent years to see his new espresso coffee machine. I popped to the toilet while he fired the beast up for the first time. From the toilet, I heard these noises. Ah! Oh, God! Oh, fuck! No! I ran out. The steam had come out of the machine and it had taken all of the skin off Pete's arm. It was red, it was bubbling flesh. It was awful. And I went, oh my God. He went, oh God. And I went, mate, put it under a cold tap. Put it under a cold tap, for God's sake. This is what he replied. Get ready. Who punishes individual body parts? Oh, I'd love to have a shag tonight, love. I can't, I'm afraid. My dick's on the naughty step. When my first niece was born, Lucy, my lovely brother-in-law, Keith, rang me to tell me that I had a new niece. 10 minutes after the birth, he didn't need to do that. It was really sweet of him. And I went, how did it go? He goes, oh my God, your sister was amazing. You've got a beautiful, beautiful niece. You'd have been so proud of her. Oh no, thanks, mate. Thanks so much for letting me down. And then I said, how did the birth go, Keith? Now, I know he was emotional because he'd just seen his child born. I still think this is a little bit weird. Yeah, how was the birth itself, mate? How was the birth itself? Well, he said, Greg, people say that seeing your children born is incredibly beautiful, but to be honest with you, to me, I said, presumably by it, mate, you mean my sister's vagina, do you? Oh, you've got a lovely niece. Yeah, your sister's fanny looks like a mashed up plum crumble. When I was a teacher, for real, I was a head of year for a bit, as I was in charge of a whole year group. It was year 7, 11-year-old children. If you're a parent, you'll know that. 11-year-olds. And I had a lovely tutor who looked after one group, a Nigerian gentleman called Tabo, a very gentle giant. One Christmas I went to see Tabo and I said, hey, Tabo, it's Christmas. Why not take your tutor group out of the lessons and do something fun with them? And before I go any further, God forgive me for this Nigerian accent. He said, what should I do? I said, whatever you like, mate. Do something fun, play some games, play some music, whatever you fancy. He goes, okay, I will think about it. So I went, I saw him later and I went, hey, Tabo, how was it with the kids this morning? He goes, oh, yes, it was. We had a lovely time. I said, what did you do? He goes, I showed them a DVD. I said, oh, great. What DVD did you show your class of 11-year-old children? Greg, why are you angry? They loved it. They were so frightened. Everyone's bonkers, everyone is. The person I've met in recent months who's the most insane of all of them, though, and he's holding down a job, was a taxi driver, right? He was a cockney. I flagged him down. He was a proper, yo, you love it, you fucking toilet, right? He has a record for having said the strangest thing I've ever heard a human being say, and his second record is for making me angrier faster than anyone has. Because I was in a perfectly good mood when I flagged him down, and he said one sentence that took me from 0 to 100 miles an hour. You tell me if I was right to be angry. I flagged him down, he wound his window down, he went, "All right, big bird, where to? Sesame Street." So I was already furious. Then he turned out to be the strangest human being I've ever met. We were driving along and he started listing the contents of the shops we went by. There's the old DIY shop over there, Greg. It's where you can get your hammers, your ladders, your wheelbarrows, your nuts, your bolts, your high-vis jackets. There's the old wine bar there, your red, your white, your rosé, your nibbles. I thought, my God, he's insane. Then he went to the next level because he said something racist about a black guy who went past, right? And I wasn't expecting it. He said this thing, and he saw me in his rearview mirror go, like all of you would have been, absolutely shocked. And I thought, you racist, you bastard, right? Then he justified his racism, and I couldn't take him seriously as a racist anymore. It was amazing. He went, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I appear to have shocked you with my comment about that black fella there. Please don't think I'm a racialist." No. I get on extremely well with my neighbour, and he is a chink. Incredible, right? It probably reflects terribly on me that I was more angry about the Big Bird thing, right? So I'm sitting there gnashing my teeth, thinking of how I'm going to get revenge. I got it so awesomely 10 minutes later. We drove through the East End of London and we went past a pie and mash shop. He goes, there's the old pie and mash shop there. And I went, right, here we go. He goes, no. Lovely pie and mash. It's the most delicious pie I've ever had in there. I went, right. He goes, yeah, lovely. In fact, I went in there the other day and I asked them if I could have the recipe so I could make my family one of their delicious pies. And I went, okay. And what did they say? He goes, they wouldn't give it to me. They said it was a family secret. A family secret. I said, oh, that's a shame. And then he said it. He said, singly, the strangest sentence I've ever heard in my life. It'll take you a while to get your head around it, so just, don't worry, it took me ages. Just enjoy it. Here it comes. Yeah, it is a shame. It is a shame, Greg, yeah. Because it's not just pie they put in those, you know. So I'm sorry, mate, what was that? He goes, it's not just pie they put in those. I went, what? In pies? He goes, yeah. I said, pie's not an ingredient, mate. He went, you what? I said, pie, it's not an ingredient. It's constituent parts that have been brought together. He goes, what are you fucking on about? A pie's pie. I said, is it? Because Jamie Oliver's show's going to be a bit shit from now on, aren't they? He goes, how do you mean? I said, I'll show you. Hello, everyone. I'm Jamie Oliver. Today I'll be making a lovely lasagna. I'll just get the ingredients. A fucking lasagna. He goes, what are you on about? Lasagna's not a pie? I said, it may as well be. So what are you going to do if you get a flat tyre on your taxi? He said, I'll change the tyre. I said, I'm afraid you can't, because tyre is part of taxi. So you must throw taxi away. He goes, what are you on about, son? I said, do you not understand? He goes, I haven't got a fucking clue. I went, all right, I'm going to help you. He goes, well, that would be nice, thank you. I said, right. I said, we'll do a role play. He went, all right, let's do a role play. This happened in the back of a taxi in East London. I went, right, I'm going to explain it to you. I'm a cake shop owner. He went, I'll have a cake, please. I went, hang on a minute, there's more. He went, all right. I said, you've got a serious nut allergy. He went, okay, I will factor that in. So he's driving through London and I went, good morning. He went, good morning. I said, can I help? He goes, yes, I'd like a cake, please. I said, right, well, I have several cakes. Which cake would you like? And this is when he went up in my estimation, because he genuinely did this. He went, I'll have that one there. Right. Awesome. And this is when I dealt him my ace card. I went, that cake, the nut surprise. And he went, oh, hang on a minute. I can't have nuts. And I said, oh dear, have you got a nut allergy? He goes, yes, I have as it goes. I said, oh, never mind. I'll check the cake for you. No, you're absolutely fine to eat this, sir, because the only ingredient in it is cake. He said, I can see nuts on it there. I said, you can't, because I baked this, and all I put in it was cake. So put it in your big fat face and swell up like a balloon. He goes, we on about a cake's not a pie? A lasagna's not a pie? I said, there's no such thing as pie! A pie is made up of meat, of gravy, of pastry, and one other thing. He said, what's the other thing? I said, I'm not telling you, it's a family secret. And you'd be right to think, well, that's just one psychopath, Greg. That's just one lunatic Cockney taxi driver. That doesn't prove that no one's normal, all right? I'll take it into the medical profession. They're supposed to be normal, aren't they? I had to go for some medical examinations last year, some investigations in hospital, because there was something wrong with my stomach, other than what is clearly already wrong with my stomach. I had a pain in it that I couldn't shift, right? And so I went through a period in my life that I now refer to as my lucky dip 3-camera nightmare. They sent me for a thing called an endoscopy, which is a camera that goes down your throat and makes you gag. It's absolutely revolting, awful. They didn't find anything wrong with me there. And they sent me for a colonoscopy, which some of you have obviously enjoyed. That's the camera up the backside. Now, there's nothing funny, of course, about having a camera pushed up your backside, unless, like me, you grew up in the 1980s, when we weren't as enlightened. You know, we're all very enlightened now, and rightly so. Unfortunately, I did grow up in the 1980s, so there is a very small part of my brain that I'm trying to get rid of that thinks that anyone putting something up my bum is a bummer, right? So, I was giggling. I couldn't stop myself. I'm ashamed of this, by the way. And that's probably, that part of my brain is what led me to say the most incredible thing to a medical professional while he pushed a piece of equipment up my backside. I put my hand on his shoulder while the camera was in me, and I whispered, thanks for this. I'll remember you always. And he turned to me and went, you need to grow up. And he's right. I found nothing up my bum, nothing. So then I had to go for my 3rd camera. Can't actually look at you when I tell you about this, because I didn't know that you can put a camera in this place. Because a pushed a camera into my penis. Did you hear me? It wasn't an SLR, it was a specialised camera. Did you know you can have a camera in your dick? He pushed it into the tip. He tapped it in. And while he tapped, he smiled at me. I thought, this is unbearable. This is a man tapping something into my knob. I'll never, ever get over this. He obviously felt awkward too, because he decided to make some small talk. I think if you're a doctor, you should be better trained in the art of fucking small talk than what is written on this. Because while a man pushed a camera into my knob, he smiled and asked me this. Everyone's insane. There's only one person I haven't really properly dealt with yet, and it's the person who started this whole show off, my mum. She's the person who called me abnormal in the first place, and I don't think I've properly dealt with her. Before I do that, I'm going to give you a job later in the show. Congratulations. Here's your script. It's not till right at the end, so you can relax. You've got your own microphone. So, now I need some volunteers so I can deal with my mother properly, to play my parents. I instantly think you're my dad. Congratulations. My dad, ladies and gentlemen, try and jump up there for me, mate. Jump up there if you can. Whoa, that's it. I need someone to play my mum. Obviously, you're all fucking ridiculously young. I'm thinking you might do it, madam, with the blue dress, would you? Not that you could possibly be my mother, of course. My mum, ladies and gentlemen. I'll have to lift you. I'll cover you. That's it. So last year, no, it was year before last actually, I got to do this amazing thing. I got to do this show called The World's Most Dangerous Roads. Did anyone see that show? I went with the hugely overrated Bell End comedian Rod Gilbert. Obviously, Rod's a really good mate of mine. And the thing about me and Rod is we've both had proper jobs before we did this bullshit, so we know that we're lucky to do these things. So we were proper excited about going to Nepal. I think anyone would be. And I think it's a beautiful place. And I think anyone in their right mind, a normal person, would ring their mum up and tell them how excited they were, right? Here's the phone call I had with her. You tell me who's normal. You ready? Hello, Mum.
Hello, love.
Amazing news. Rod and I are going to Nepal to do some filming.
Oh, God. Well, don't go to the toilet outside.
Already weird. Don't go to the toilet outside is the first thing she said to me. What? Why?
There might be one of those fish.
I'm sorry, what fish?
One of those fish that swims at your winky.
What the hell are you talking about?
Go on, laugh at me, but they exist. I read about them on the internet.
Yes, you'll forgive me if I don't take your internet research seriously, Mum. Last week you told me that Diet Coke contains monkey stem cells. And now I have to worry about a fish that doesn't even live in Nepal, do I?
How do you know they don't live in Nepal?
Well, I'm guessing that perhaps the Himalayan mountain range puts fish off.
They might have got there.
You think there might be a fish living up a mountain that wants to swim up my penis?
Yes, I do.
How? How's it got there? Has it climbed using its little fins so that it, just in case it gets the chance to swim up my wang?
Oh, here we go.
What do you mean, here we go?
I knew it wouldn't be long before we started taking the mickey out of the silly old woman. I suppose this is going to turn into a stand-up routine, is it?
No.
It is. I can hear it now. You'll never guess what my stupid mum said this time.
I wouldn't do that to you.
You did last year, on tour, on television. I was a laughingstock in this town.
I wasn't rude about your television.
You told me to fuck off, and have I got news for you?
That was a terrible mistake. They told me they'd bleep it.
My friends were horrified. Promise me this won't end up on stage.
I promise.
I mean it, Greg. Swear it.
I swear it. On Darren's wife's life.
This isn't funny. I mean it.
I promise it won't turn into a routine.
Thank you. I'll get your dad.
I hear you've got fish stuck up your knob.
Lovely. Nailed it. My parents, ladies and gentlemen.
Want some help?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. So what am I saying? I suppose what I'm saying is it's really hard being a human being. It's really hard because we never really know what's going on in other people's minds, even the people you're closest to. I've already proved that to you tonight because you use the guilty faces from your partners. You never really know what people are thinking. Now, a few weeks ago, I had an awful day where I had about 4 rows with people, and I had a row with a friend of mine, and I hate having arguments with people, and all of those things occurred because none of us spoke our minds and said, this is how we're feeling, this is what we want out of any given situation. So people were second-guessing what was going on. As a result, everyone was annoyed. I had a dreadful day. They probably had a dreadful day. And on the way home, I went to my newsagents, and my newsagent's the sort of newsagent who sells everything in the world. So as I walked into his little shop, I was just going to buy a paper, I saw something sitting on the shelf. It was a live thing. It was alive. And it was for sale, and it was £1.88. And I hadn't seen one for years. They were very popular in the 80s, these little live things, but they're not so much these days. Hence the price. And I looked at it, and it's a pretty little thing, and I thought, you lucky little bastard. All you do is you get born, you grow, you look pretty, other people look after you, then you fade away. I thought, what a simple life. What a beautiful little life. So I've written a song about it. The thing was a bonsai tree. Small ornamental tree. It really moved me. So my song is called I Wish I Was a Bonsai Tree by Davies. And before I sing it to you, I would like to say two things. Firstly, I'd like to answer a question that's in all of your minds right now. And the answer is yes, this is a small guitar. Secondly, I'd like to say it takes a lot of courage to finish a comedy show with a beautiful ballad. Honestly, so far in the run of gigs I've done, audiences have not been as respectful as I would like them to be. And I just want you to say, I want you to take this seriously. It's a beautiful song, and if you do laugh, it pisses me off. Thank you very much. I Wish I Was a Bonsai Tree by Davies. When I saw you on the... So we're laughing already, so that's good, isn't it? When I saw you on the chocolate shelf, it made me feel alive. Reminded me of simpler times of 1985. Five. I barely even noticed you because you are so small, and life it had not ground you down, you had not changed at all. In the 80s you were massive, even though you're tiny, you were a bit like a leafy Tom Cruise. You were a horticultural Top Gun, maverick in a pot. And you'd never had to worry about a fish swimming up your cock. 'Cause you're a tree, you don't have balls or a dick. And if you did, it would look like a stick. Because you're a bonsai. And I wish I were a bonsai tree. Bonsai, you're in a pot, but you're freer than me. You've never had a mortgage, you could live in a cup. You've never had a girl reject you, you've never had to grow up. You've never had to hold down a shitty job or had to tidy up a shitty flat. You have no need for Argos weights because your bark does not get fat. And you've never farted on a Spaniard's fingers. Or had to explain to your mum about cunnilingus. 'Cause you're a bonsai. And I wish I were a bonsai tree. Bonsai. I wish I could have stayed tiny. I love your little tiny leaves. I love your little tiny trunk. I love the little tiny Chinese pot they put you in. I love that you are shrunk.
Wait, Greg.
Oh, look, everyone. It's a bonsai.
Seriously, mate, do I have to do this?
Yes, you fucking do.
Not paid me for this, but
I'm sorry, before I go any further, what have you put in your costume?
it's just my normal penis.
It's your normal oblong penis.
It is too high tonight as well. It's a sponge from your wash bag. Wait, Greg. Being a bonsai is not as good as you think. I know you humans are flawed and all that, but you're united by your strangeness. This is rubbish, man.
Oh, it's not. It's beautiful. Look how moved they are.
Sure, it may be difficult sometimes, and you may have a lot going on in your heads, but at least you've got each other. It's awful being a bonsai. I'm alone, and I just stay the same.
Oh my God. He's right. Life can be difficult, can't it, guys? Sometimes we don't understand each other and we don't communicate well. But look, at least you're not a fucking bonsai tree. And I want you to sing with me. To say you're glad you're not a bonsai tree. And I want you to sing it into his face. Here's the words for you. Salford, you've got to mean this. Sing it into his face. You don't want to be one of these. That's it. Mean it. Sing it in his face. Sing in his little wooden face! And with this lady's help, we'll get rid of the bonsai in all of us. Go!
Get off, bonsai, you're not welcome.
Get off, bonsai, you're not welcome. Keep singing! Go!
Go, get back to your little Chinese pot.
Get back to your Chinese pot, she says, bonsai.
Fuck off.
Seriously, fuck off, she says.
Go back to the soil, you don't belong here.
Get back to the soil, you don't belong.
Just go, you leafy cunt.